Tristram and Iseult. Matthew Arnold. I Tristram. Tristram, is she not come? The messenger was sure, prop me upon the pillows once again, raise me, my page. This cannot long endure. Christ, what a night! How the sleet whips the pane! What lights will those out to the northward be? The page. The lanterns of the fishing boats at sea. Tristram. Soft, who is that, stands by the dying fire? The page. Iseult. Tristram. Ah! Not the Iseult I desire. What knight is this so weak and pale, though the locks are yet brown on his noble head, propped on pillows in his bed, gazing seaward for the light of some ship that fights the gale on this wild December night? Over the sick man's feet is spread a dark green forest dress. A gold harp leans against the bed, ruddy in the fire's light. I know him by his harp of gold, famous in Arthur's court of old. I know him by his forest dress, the peerless hunter, harper, knight, Tristram of Lyonesse. What lady is this, whose silk attire gleams so rich in the light of the fire? The ringlets on her shoulders lying in their fleeting luster vying with the clasp of burnished gold which her heavy robe doth hold. Her looks are mild, her fingers slight as the driven snow are white. But her cheeks are sunken pale. Is it that the bleak sea gale beating from the Atlantic Sea on this coast of Brittany, nips too keenly the sweet flower? Is it that a deep fatigue hath come on her, a chilly fear, passing all her youthful hours spinning with her maidens here, listlessly through the window bars gazing seawards many a league, from her lonely shore-built tower, while the knights are at the wars? Or, perhaps, has her young heart felt already some deeper smart, of those that in secret the heartstrings rive, leaving her sunken pale, though fair? Who is this snowdrop by the sea? I know her by her mildness rare, her snow-white hands, her golden hair. I know her by her rich silk dress, and her fragile loveliness, the sweetest Christian soul alive, Iseult of Brittany. Iseult of Brittany? But where is that other Iseult fair, that proud, first Iseult, Cornwall's queen? She, whom Tristram's ship of yore from Ireland to Cornwall bore, to Tintagel, to the side of King Mark, to be his bride? She who, as they voyaged, quaffed with Tristram that spiced magic draught, which since then forever rolls through their blood, and binds their souls, working love, but working teen. There were two Iseults who did sway each her hour of Tristram's day, but one possessed his waning time, the other his resplendent prime. Behold her here, the patient flower, who possessed his dark hour. Iseult of the snow-white hand watches pale by Tristram's bed. She is here who had his gloom, where art thou who hadst his bloom? One such kiss as those of yore might thy dying night restore. Does the love draught work no more? Art thou cold, or false, or dead, Iseult of Ireland? Loud howls the wind, sharp patters the rain, and the knight sinks back on his pillows again. He is weak with fever and pain, and his spirit is not clear. Hark! He mutters in his sleep, as he wanders far from here, changes place and time of year, and his closet eye doth sweep o'er some fair unwintry sea, not this fierce Atlantic deep, while he mutters brokenly, Tristram. The calm sea shines, loose hang the vessel's sails. Before us are the sweet green fields of Wales, and overhead the cloudless sky of May. Ampersand quo. Ah, would I were in those green fields at play, not pent on shipboard this delicious day. Tristram, I pray thee, of thy courtesy, reach me my golden field stands by thee, but pledge me in it first for courtesy. Ampersand quo. Hectares. Dost thou start? Are thy lips blanched like mine? Child, 'tis no true draught this, 'tis poisoned wine. Iseult. Ah, sweet angels, let him dream. Keep his eyelids. Let him seem not this fever-wasted white-thinned and paled before his time, but the brilliant youthful knight in the glory of his prime, sitting in a gilded barge, at thy side, thou lovely charge, bending gaily o'er thy hand, Iseult of Ireland. And she too, that princess fair, if her bloom be now less rare, let her have her youth again, let her be as she was then. Let her have her proud dark eyes, and her petulant quick replies. Let her sweep her dazzling hand with its gesture of command, and shake back her raven hair with the old imperious air. As of old, so let her be, that first Iseult, princess bright, chatting with her youthful knight as he steers her o'er the sea, quitting at her father's will the green isle where she was bred, and her bower in Ireland, for the surge-beat Cornish strand where the prince whom she must wed dwells on loud Tintagel's hill, high above the sounding sea. And that potion rare her mother gave her, that her future lord gave her, that King Mark and she might drink it on their marriage day, and forever love each other, let her, as she sits on board, ah, sweet saints, unwittingly see it shine, and take it up, and to Tristram laughing say, Amperson quo, Sir Tristram, of thy courtesy, pledge me in my golden cup. Amperson quo, let them drink it, let their hands tremble, and their cheeks be flame, as they feel the fatal bands of a love they dare not name, with a wild delicious pain, twine about their hearts again. Let the early summer be once more round them, and the sea blue, and o'er its mirror kind let the breath of the May wind, wandering through their drooping sails, die on the green fields of Wales. Let a dream like this restore what his eye must see no more. Tristram. Chill blows the wind, the pleasaunce walks are drear. Madcap, what jest was this, to meet me here? Were feet like those made for so wild a way? The southern winter parlor, by my fay, had been the likeliest trysting place today. Amperson quo, Tristram. Nay, nay, thou must not take my hand. Tristram. Sweet love. We are betrayed, outplanned. Fly, save thyself, save me. I dare not stay. Amperson quo. One last kiss first. Amperson quo. 'Tis vain, to horse, away. Amperson quo. Ah! Sweet saints, his dream doth move faster surely than it should, from the fever in his blood. All the springtime of his love is already gone and past, and instead thereof is seen its winter, which endureth still, Tintagel on its surge-beat hill, the pleasaunce walks, the weeping queen, the flying leaves, the straining blast, and that long, wild kiss, their last. And this rough December night, and his burning fever pain, mingle with his hurrying dream, till they rule it, till he seemed oppressed fugitive again, the love-desperate banished knight with a fire in his brain flying o'er the stormy main. Whither does he wander now? Haply in his dreams the wind wafts him here, and lets him find the lovely orphan child again in her castle by the coast. The youngest, fairest chatelaine, whom this realm of France can boast, are snowdrop by the Atlantic Sea, Iseult of Brittany. And, for through the haggard air, the stained arms, the matted hair of that stranger knight ill-starred, there gleamed something, which recalled the Tristram who in better days was Launcelot's guest at Joyous Gard, welcomed here, and here installed, tended of his fever here. Haply he seems again to move his young guardian's heart with love in his exiled loneliness, in his stately, deep distress, without a word, without a tear. Ah! 'Tis well he should retrace his tranquil life in this lone place, his gentle bearing at the side of his timid youthful bride, his long rambles by the shore on winter evenings, when the roar of the near waves came, sadly grand, through the dark, up the drowned sand, or his endless reveries in the woods, where the gleams play on the grass under the trees, passing the long summer's day idle as a mossy stone in the forest depths alone, the chase neglected, and his hound couched beside him on the ground. Ah! What troubles on his brow? Hither let him wander now. Hither, to the quiet hours passed among these heaths of ours, by the grey Atlantic Sea. Hours, if not of ecstasy, from violent anguish surely free. Tristram. All red with blood the whirling river flows, the wide plain rings, the dazed air throbes with blows. Upon us are the chivalry of Rome, their spears are down, their steeds are bathed in foam. Amperson quo. Up, Tristram, up, Amperson quo. Men cry, Amperson quo. Thou moonstruck knight! What foul fiend rides thee? On into the fight. Amperson quo. Above the din her voice is in my ears. I see her form glide through the crossing spears. Iseult. Ah! He wanders forth again. We cannot keep him. Now, as then, there's the secret in his breast which will never let him rest. These musing fits in the green wood they cloud the brain, they dull the blood. His sword is sharp, his horse is good. Beyond the mountains will he see the famous towns of Italy, and label with the blessed sign the heathen Saxons on the Rhine. At Arthur's side he fights once more with the Roman emperor. There's many a gay night where he goes will help him to forget his care. The march, the leaguer, heaven's blithe air, the neighing steeds, the ringing blows, sick pining comes not where these are. Ah! What boots it, that the jest lightens every other brow, what, that every other breast dances as the trumpets blow, if one's own heart beats not light on the waves of the tossed fight, if oneself cannot get free from the clog of misery? Thy lovely youthful wife grows pale watching by the salt sea tide with her children at her side for the gleam of thy white sail. Home, Tristram, to thy halls again. To our lonely sea complain, to our forests tell thy pain. Tristram. All round the forest sweeps off, black and shade, but it is moonlight in the open glade, and in the bottom of the glade shine clear the forest chapel and the fountain near. I think, I have a fever in my blood. Come, let me leave the shadow of this wood, ride down, and bathe my hot brow in the flood. Mild shines the cold spring in the moon's clear light. God! 'Tis her face plays in the waters bright. Ampersand quo. Fair love, ampersand quo. She says, ampersand quo. Canst thou forget so soon, at this soft hour under this sweet moon? Ampersand quo. Iseult. Ah, poor soul! If this be so, only death can balm thy woe. The solitudes of the green wood had no medicine for thy mood. The rushing battle cleared thy blood as little as did solitude. Ah! His eyelids slowly break their hot seals, and let him wake. What new change shall we now see? A happier. Worse it cannot be. Tristram. Is my page here? Come, turn me to the fire. Upon the window panes the moon shines bright. The wind is down, but she'll not come tonight. Oh no. She is asleep in Cornwall now, far hence. Her dreams are fair, smooth as her brow of me she recks not, nor my vain desire. I have had dreams, my page, would take a score years from a strong man's age. And with a blood like mine, will leave, I fear, scant leisure for a second messenger. My princess, art thou there? Sweet, do not wait. To bed, and sleep. My fever is gone by. Tonight my page shall keep me company. Where do the children sleep? Kiss them for me. Poor child, thou art almost as pale as I. This comes of nursing long and watching late. To bed, good night. She left the gleam-lit fireplace, she came to the bedside. She took his hands in hers, her tears down on his wasted fingers rained. She raised her eyes upon his face, not with a look of wounded pride, a look as if the heart complained. Her look was like a sad embrace, the gaze of one who can divine a grief, and sympathize. Sweet flower, thy children's eyes are not more innocent than thine. But they sleep in sheltered rest, like helpless birds in the warm nest, on the castle's southern side, where feebly comes the mournful roar of buffeting wind and surging tide through many a room and corridor. Full on their window the moon's ray makes their chamber as bright as day. It shines upon the blank white walls, and on the snowy pillow falls, and on two angel heads doth play turned to each other, the eyes closed, the lashes on the cheeks reposed. Round each sweet brow the cap close set hardly lets peep the golden hair. Through the soft opened lips the air scarcely moves the coverlet. One little wandering arm is thrown at random on the counterpane, and often the fingers close in haste as if their baby owner chased the butterflies again. This stir they have, and this alone. But else they are so still. Ah, tired madcaps! You lie still. But were you at the window now, to look forth on the fairy sight of your illumined haunts by night, to see the park glades where you play far lovelier than they are by day, to see the sparkle on the eaves, and upon every giant bough of those old oaks, whose wet red leaves are jeweled with bright drops of rain, how would your voices run again? And far beyond the sparkling trees of the castle park one sees the bare heath spreading, clear as day, more behind more, far, far away, into the heart of Brittany. And here and there, locked by the land, long inlets of smooth glittering sea, and many a stretch of watery sand all shining in the white moonbeams, but you see fairer in your dreams. What voices are these on the clear night air? What lights in the court, what steps on the stair? To Iseult of Ireland Tristram. Raise the light, my page, that I may see her. Thou art come at last, then, haughty queen. Long I've waited, long I've fought my fever. Late thou comest, cruel thou hast been. Iseult, blame me not, poor sufferer, that I tarried. Bound I was, I could not break the band. Chide not with the past, but feel the present. I am here, we meet, I hold thy hand. Tristram. Thou art come, indeed, thou hast rejoined me. Thou hast dared it, but too late to save. Fear not now that men should tax thine honor. I am dying, build, thou mayest, my grave. Iseult. Tristram, ah, for love of heaven, speak kindly. What, I hear these bitter words from thee? Sick with grief I am, and faint with travel. Take my hand, dear Tristram, look on me. Tristram. I forgot, thou comest from thy voyage, yes, the spray is on thy cloak and hair. But thy dark eyes are not dimmed, proud Iseult, and thy beauty never was more fair. Iseult. Ah, harsh flatterer, let alone my beauty. I, like thee, have left my youth afar. Take my hand, and touch these wasted fingers, see my cheek and lips, how white they are. Tristram. Thou art paler, but thy sweet charm, Iseult, would not fade with the dull years away. Ah, how fair thou standest in the moonlight. I forgive thee, Iseult. Thou wilt stay. Iseult. Fear me not, I will be always with thee. I will watch thee, tend thee, soothe thy pain, sing thee tales of true, long-parted lovers, joined at evening of their days again. Tristram. No, thou shalt not speak. I should be finding something altered in thy courtly tone. Sit by me. I will think, we've lived so in the greenwood, all our lives, alone. Iseult. Altered, Tristram? Not in courts, believe me, love like mine is altered in the breast. Courtly life is light and cannot reach it, ah! It lives, because so deep suppressed. What, thou thinkest men speak in courtly chambers words by which the wretched are consoled? What, thou thinkest this aching brow is cooler, circled, Tristram, by a band of gold? Royal state with mark, my deep wronged husband, that was bliss to make my sorrows flee. Silken courtiers whispering honeyed nothings, those were friends to make me false to thee. Ah, on which, if both our lots were balanced, was indeed the heaviest burden thrown, thee, a pining exile in thy forest, me, a smiling queen upon my throne? Vain and strange debate, where both have suffered, both have passed a youth consumed and sad, both have brought their anxious day to evening, and have now short space for being glad. Joined we are henceforth. Nor will thy people, nor thy younger Iseult take it ill, that a former rival shares her office, when she sees her humbled, pale, and still. I, a faded watcher by thy pillow, I, a statue on thy chapel floor, poured in prayer before the Virgin Mother, rouse no anger, make no rivals more. She will cry, Amperson quo. Is this the foe I dreaded? This is idle. This that royal bride? Ah, an hour of health would purge his eyesight. Stay, pale queen, forever by my side. Amperson quo. Hush, no words. That smile, I see, forgives me. I am now thy nurse, I bid thee sleep. Close thine eyes, this flooding moonlight blinds them. Nay, all's well again. Thou must not weep. Tristram. I am happy. Yet I feel, there's something swells my heart, and takes my breath away. Through a mist I see thee. Near, come nearer. Bend down. I yet have much to say. Iseult. Heaven. His head sinks back upon the pillow. Tristram. Tristram. Let thy heart not fail. Call on God and on the holy angels. What, love, courage. Christ. He is so pale. Tristram. Hush, 'tis vain, I feel my end approaching. This is what my mother said should be, when fierce pains took her in the forest, the deep draughts of death, in bearing me. Amperson quo. Son, ampersand quo. She said, ampersand quo. Thy name shall be of sorrow. Tristram art thou called for my death's sake. Ampersand quo. So she said, and died in the drear forest. Grief since then his home with me doth make. I am dying. Start not, nor look wildly. Me, thou living friend, thou canst not save. But, since living we were ununited, go not far, O Iseult, from my grave. Close mine eyes, then seek the Princess Iseult. Speak her fair, she is of royal blood. Say, I willed so, that thou stay beside me, she will grant it. She is kind and good. Now to sail the seas of death I'll leave thee, one last kiss upon the living shore. Iseult. Tristram. Tristram. Stay, receive me with thee. Iseult leaves thee, Tristram. Nevermore. You see them clear, the moon shines bright. Slow, slow and softly, where she stood, she sinks upon the ground. Her hood has fallen back. Her arms outspread still hold her lover's hand. Her head is bowed, half buried, on the bed. O'er the blanched sheet her raven hair lies in disordered streams. And there, strung like white stars, the pearls still are, and the golden bracelets, heavy and rare, flash on her white arms still. The very same which yesternight flashed in the silver sconce's light, when feast was gay and the laughter loud in Tintagel's palace proud. But then they decked a restless ghost with hot flushed cheeks and brilliant eyes, and quivering lips on which the tide of courtly speech abruptly died, and a glance which over the crowded floor, the dancers, and the festive host, flew ever to the door. That the knight sighed her in surprise, and the dames whispered scoffingly, ampersand quo. Her moods, good lack, they pass like showers. But yesternight and she would be as pale and still as withered flowers, and now tonight she laughs and speaks and has a color in her cheeks. Christ keep us from such fantasy. Ampersand quo. Yes, now the longing is o'erpast, which, dogged by fear and fought by shame, shook her weak bosom day and night, consumed her beauty like a flame, and dimmed it like the desert blast. And though the bedclothes hide her face, yet were it lifted to the light, the sweet expression of her brow would charm the gazer, till his thought erased the ravages of time, filled up the hollow cheek, and brought a freshness back as of her prime, so healing is her quiet now. So perfectly the lines express a tranquil, settled loveliness, her younger rival's purest grace. The air of the December night steals coldly around the chamber bright, where those lifeless lovers be. Swinging with it, in the light flaps a ghost-like tapestry. And on the air is wrought you see a stately huntsman, clad in green, and round him a fresh forest scene. On that clear forest knoll he stays, with his pack round him, and delays. He stares and stares, with troubled face, at this huge, gleam-lit fireplace, at that bright, iron-figured door, and those blown rushes on the floor. He gazes down into the room with heated cheeks and flurried air, and to himself he seems to say, ampersand quo. What place is this, and who are they? Who is that kneeling lady fair? And on his pillows that pale knight, who seems of marble on a tomb? How comes it here, this chamber bright, through whose mullioned windows clear the castle court all wet with rain, the drawbridge and the moat appear, and then the beach, and, marked with spray, the sunken reefs, and far away the unquiet bright Atlantic plain? What, has some glamour made me sleep, and sent me with my dogs to sweep, by night, with boisterous bugle peal, through some old, seaside, nightly hall, not in the free green wood at all? That night's asleep, and at her prayer that lady by the bed doth kneel, then hush, thou boisterous bugle peal. Ampersand quo. The wild boar rustles in his lair. The fierce hounds snuff the tainted air. But lord and hounds keep rooted there. Cheer, cheer thy dogs unto the break, O hunter! And without a fear thy golden tasseled bugle blow, and through the gates thy pastime take, for thou wilt rouse no sleepers here. For these thou seest are unmoved. Cold, cold as those who lived and loved 1,000 years ago. 3 Iseult of Brittany a year had flown, and o'er the sea away, in Cornwall, Tristram and Queen Iseult lay. In King Mark's chapel, in Tintagel old, there in a ship they bore those lovers cold. The young surviving Iseult, one bright day, had wandered forth. Her children were at play in a green circular hollow in the heath which borders the seashore. A country path creeps over it from the tilled fields behind. The hollow's grassy banks are soft inclined, and to one standing on them, far and near the lone unbroken view spreads bright and clear over the waste. This cirque of open ground is light and green. The heather, which all round creeps thickly, grows not here. But the pale grass is strewn with rocks, and many a shivered mass of veined white gleaming quartz, and here and there dotted with holly trees and juniper. In the smooth center of the opening stood 3 hollies side by side, and made a screen, warm with the winter sun, of burnished green with scarlet berries skimmed, the fell fare's food. Under the glittering hollies Iseult stands, watching her children play. Their little hands are busy gathering spars of quartz, and streams of stagshine for their hats. Anon, with screams of mad delight they drop their spoils, and bound among the holly clumps and broken ground, racing full speed, and startling in their rush the fell fares and the speckled missel thrush out of their glossy coverts. But when now their cheeks were flushed, and over each hot brow, under the feathered hats of the sweet pair, in blinding masses showered the golden hair, then Iseult called them to her, and the 3 clustered under the holly screen, and she taught them an old-world Breton history. Warm in their mantles wrapped the 3 stood there, under the hollies, in the clear still air, mantles with those rich furs deep glistering which Venice ships do from swart Egypt bring. Long they stayed still, then, pacing at their ease, moved up and down under the glossy trees. But still, as they pursued their warm dry road, from Iseult's lips the unbroken store flowed, and still the children listened, their blue eyes fixed on their mother's face in wide surprise. Nor did their looks stray once to the seaside, nor to the brown heaths round them, bright and wide, nor to the snow, which, though 'twas all away from the open heath, still by the hedgerows lay, nor to the shining sea-fowl, that with screams bore up from where the bright Atlantic gleams, swooping to landward. Nor to where, quite clear, the fell fares settled on the thickets near. And they would still have listened, till dark night came keen and chill down on the heather bright. But, when the red glow on the sea grew cold, and the great turrets of the castle old looked sternly through the frosty evening air, then Iseult took by the hand those children fair, and brought her tale to an end, and found the path, and led them home over the darkening heath. And is she happy? Does she see unmoved the days in which she might have lived and loved slip without bringing bliss slowly away, one after one, tomorrow like today? Joy has not found her yet, nor ever will. Is it this thought which makes her mien so still, her features so fatigued, her eyes, though sweet, so sunk, so rarely lifted save to meet her children's? She moves slow. Her voice alone hath yet an infantine and silver tone, but even that comes languidly. In truth, she seems one dying in a mask of youth. And now she will go home, and softly lay her laughing children in their beds, and play a while with them before they sleep. And then she'll light her silver lamp, which fishermen dragging their nets through the rough waves, afar, along this iron coast, know like a star, and take her broidery frame, and there she'll sit hour after hour, her gold curls sweeping it, lifting her soft bent head only to mind her children, or to listen to the wind. And when the clock peals midnight, she will move her work away, and let her fingers rove across the shaggy brows of Tristram's hound who lies, guarding her feet, along the ground. Or else she will fall musing, her blue eyes fixed, her slight hands clasped on her lap. Then rise, and at her prie do kneel, until she have told her rosary beads of ebony tipped with gold, then to her soft sleep, and tomorrow'll be today's exact repeated effigy. Yes, it is lonely for her in her hall. The children, and the grey-haired seneschal, her women, and Sir Tristram's aged hound, are there the sole companions to be found. But these she loves, and wiser life than this she would find ill to bear, weak as she is. She has her children, too, and night and day is with them. And the wide heaths where they play, the hollies, and the cliff, and the seashore, the sand, the sea-birds, and the distant sails, these are to her dear as to them. The tales with which this day the children she beguiled she gleaned from Breton grandamies, when a child, in every hut along the sea-coast wild. She herself loves them still, and, when they are told, can't forget all to hear them, as of old. Dear saints, it is not sorrow, as I hear, not suffering, which shuts up eye and ear to all that has delighted them before, and lets us be what we were once no more. No, we may suffer deeply, yet retain power to be moved and soothed, for all our pain, by what of old pleased us, and will again. No, 'tis the gradual furnace of the world, in whose hot air our spirits are upcurled until they crumble, or else grow like steel, which kills in us the bloom, the youth, the spring, which leaves the fierce necessity to feel, but takes away the power. This can avail, by drying up our joy in everything, to make our former pleasures all seem stale. This, or some tyrannous single thought, some fittive passion, which subdues our souls to it, till for its sake alone we live and move, call it ambition, or remorse, or love. This too can change us wholly, and make seem all which we did before, shadow and dream. And yet, I swear, it angers me to see how this fool passion gulls men potently, being, in truth, but a diseased unrest, and an unnatural overheat at best. How they are full of languor and distress not having it, which when they do possess, they straightway are burned up with fume and care, and spend their lives in posting here and there where this plague drives them, and have little ease, are furious with themselves, and hard to please. Like that bold Caesar, the famed Roman wight, who wept at reading of a Grecian knight who made a name at younger years than he, or that renowned mirror of chivalry, Prince Alexander, Philip's peerless son, who carried the great war from Macedon into the Soudan's realm, and thundered on to die at 35 in Babylon. What tale did Iseult to the children say, under the hollies, that bright winter's day? She told them of the fairy-haunted land away the other side of Brittany, beyond the heaths, edged by the lonely sea, of the deep forest glades of Broceliande, through whose green boughs the golden sunshine creeps where Merlin by the enchanted thorn tree sleeps. For here he came with the Fay Vivian, one April, when the warm days first began. He was on foot, and that false Fay, his friend, on her white palfrey. Here he met his end, in these lone sylvan glades, that April day. This tale of Merlin and the lovely Fay was the one Iseult chose, and she brought clear before the children's fancy him and her. Blowing between the stems, the forest air had loosened the brown locks of Vivian's hair, which played on her flushed cheek, and her blue eyes sparkled with mocking glee and exercise. Her palfrey's flanks were mired and bathed in sweat, for they had traveled far and not stopped yet. A briar in that tangled wilderness had scored her white right hand, which she allows to rest ungloved on her green riding dress. The other warded off the drooping boughs. But still she chatted on, with her blue eyes fixed full on Merlin's face, her stately prize. Her behavior had the morning's fresh clear grace, the spirit of the woods was in her face. She looked so witching fair, that learned wight forgot his craft, and his best wits took flight. And he grew fond, and eager to obey his mistress, use her empire as she may. They came to where the brushwood ceased, and they appeared twixt the stems. And the ground broke away, in a slope sward down to a brawling brook, and up as high as where they stood to look on the brook's farther side was clear, but then the underwood and trees began again. This open glen was studded thick with thorns then white with blossom. And you saw the horns, through last year's fern, of the shy fallow deer who come at noon down to the water here. You saw the bright-eyed squirrels dart along under the thorns on the green sward. And strong the blackbird whistled from the dingles near, and the weird tripping of the woodpecker rang lonelily and sharp. The sky was fair, and a fresh breath of spring stirred everywhere. Merlin and Vivian stopped on the slope's brow, to gaze on the light sea of leaf and bough which glistering plays all round them, lone and mild. As if to itself the quiet forest smiled. Upon the brow top grew a thorn, and here the grass was dry and moist, and you saw clear across the hollow. White anemones starred the cool turf, and clumps of primroses ran out from the dark underwood behind. No fairer resting place a man could find. Ampersand quo. Here let us halt, ampersand quo, said Merlin then. And she nodded, and tied her palfrey to a tree. They sate them down together, and a sleep fell upon Merlin, more like death, so deep. Her finger on her lips, then Vivian rose and from her brown locked head the wimple throws, and takes it in her hand, and waves it over the blossomed thorn tree and her sleeping lover. 9 times she waved the fluttering wimple round, and made a little plot of magic ground. And in that dazed circle, as men say, is Merlin prisoner till the judgment day. But she herself whither she will can rove, for she was passing weary of his love.